What's up guys, my name is Liam and today we're going to be taking a look at the Ajazz AJ199. This is the new 4K edition. Do we have a new budget king on our hands here? And more importantly, is this going to be the perfect gaming mouse for you? Let's check it out. Before we get started today, I did want to let you know that MetKeys did send this out to me. However, everything you'll be hearing in this video is going to be my own words and my own opinions. Here's a really quick peek at the box, and I'll zoom up on the back here in case you wanted to read some of these specifications. Just comes with the mouse right here on the left side. This actually does come included with the 4K dongle. Then you got the manual, and then up here at the top, it does come with a USB-C cable. And here's a close-up of what the 4K dongle actually does look like. It is a little bit larger, and it does not have any type of rubberized bottom on it or anything. And when comparing this to the original AJ199, there are some changes that were made. The switches that are inside are still the Huano blue shell pink dots, the transparent version, so still the same there. But as you can see here on the original version that I have over here on the right side, it did have the DPI button up here on the top, and they did remove that from the newer version. Over here on the bottom is where they actually did add the DPI button, and as you can see, it wasn't there on the original. And another huge change, which I'm really favorable of actually, is that the original one, it did have this removable shell that it did come with, and they did actually get rid of that. As you can see now, it's just a solid single piece top shell. The skates that do come included are these black Teflon style skates. Not really the biggest fan of them. They do feel kind of muddy. I do actually have two copies of this mouse. This one on the left here I did mod myself, and you can actually pick up some core pad skates, which I recommend doing off lethal gaming gear, or it does have enough real estate there to where you can put some dot skates on there if you have some of those laying around. I am personally a fan of this new solid shell design. It feels much better. It feels very premium. There's no creaking. I don't have to worry about the top flexing on me or moving around or making any type of creaking noises anymore. And I have not had a single issue with the entire time I've been using. I've been really rough with it. Now, if you were to death grip this and push really hard in the middle, you can get some flex there, but single-handing this, even giving it a tight grip, I never noticed any issues with it, and it really felt great. And the surface is just some type of just straight plastic injection mold. There is a little bit of a texture there, a slight eggshell type surface. It does feel pretty smooth to the touch on the hands, and for me it's been pretty grippy. Again, I don't really get sweaty hands very often. If you do get wetter hands, it can be slippery, but overall it's not too bad for me. As far as the buttons go, they do feel very similar to the first version. They feel good. They're not the best. They're not the most premium quality out there. They don't have the tightest tolerances. So you get just, tiny bit of play, but it's nothing terrible. It is a really enjoyable click experience. They're very lightweight. When you do get more towards the rear, they do get quite a bit heavier, but as long as you're activating towards the middle or the front of the switch, they feel pretty good. And as you can see, they're pushing down on it, the post travel. It doesn't get too terrible to where it makes contact with the actual shell. And the same thing over here on the right side. So honestly, for the price of this mouse, I feel like it has really premium switches in there. They do feel very good. And the scroll implementation, it feels all right. It does have some defined steps. They're a little bit lightweight, but the scroll does feel pretty solid there. And it is a pretty light click when you actually activate the scroll button. And same thing goes with the side buttons. Same thing as before. The side buttons feel pretty good. They have just a little bit of play there. Nothing too bad. Once you activate the switch and push it in, again, a little bit play left and right there. But overall, pretty good implementation. So let's go ahead and drop the click and quality sound check. And when it comes to the weight and balance, on my scale, it looks like I got this coming in at approximately 64.1 grams. And they've done a pretty good job on the balance. Front to back feels spot on, and the left to right balance feels pretty good as well. The one thing about this mouse, however, it has a massive battery in it, and it does feel like it is a bit top heavy. And one of the biggest questions people have been asking me is how's the 4K performance on this mouse? And it's absolutely incredible, and they are actually using the CompX firmware solution. It does allow you to adjust the bounce setting down to 0 milliseconds. Real easy to turn on the 4K 4K setting, and then I always recommend coming over to the settings and enabling this long distance mode to give you a little bit of a stronger signal and better 4K performance. So coming out of the box, this is truly a really solid contender. You know, if you're okay with the skates, if you're okay with the weight of the mouse, it really does play and perform great. But I do feel like if you want to get it to that next level to where it's actually, in my opinion, even an S tier mouse, then there are some modifications you can do to it that make this thing almost near perfect to me. Starting out, this does come with a 900 milliamp hour battery. I think that's probably one of the biggest batteries that I've seen in these cheaper style mice. And this thing is just absolutely insane. Look at that thing, comes in at 16.6 grams. And with this modded version, I did play around with it quite a bit to get it to the level that I wanted it to be at. And aside from just switching out the skates, I actually did play around with swapping out a couple of different types of batteries. I do want to say that if you do get a 150 milliamp hour battery, you can drop this thing with skates and all down to 49 grams. I will go ahead and throw a picture up of that for you guys. The 150 milliamp hour battery that I got weighs around 3 grams. I picked them up off of AliExpress. I also have a battery that I threw in here. I have a 250 milliamp hour battery, weighs around 6 grams, so about 3 grams more. And as you can see here, as I drop it on the scale, it's going to come out to approximately 52.3 grams. And like I'd mentioned, after replacing the battery at a little bit of a lower level, I made the balance on this flawless, coming in at the weight that it comes in at, even with these skates on there. Again, this really is playing perfect for me, and this honestly probably isn't going to come off my desk anytime soon. But it is really crazy coming in at the price point that this does come in at, the potential this actually has. And I wish Ajazz, or perhaps if Attack Shark or anybody is going to come out with a different 4K version in the future, I would suggest maybe dropping a version with a 250 milliamp or 300 milliamp hour battery in there, kind of bring the weight down a little bit. But absolutely coming in at the weight, balance, and performance that this is right now, it is an absolute banger. One thing you guys have been asking me nonstop is what some of my favorite budget options are currently out there on the market right now. The reason I'm calling the Ajazz AJ199 the new king is because, again, coming in at $55.99, it does come with the 4K dongle included. But two of my other favorite options is actually the Zaopin Z1 Pro. I do feel like this is pretty much the best bang for your buck if you're cool with this diamond style shape. One thing that kind of does disappoint me about them is I've been waiting for the 4K dongle forever, so it is kind of a bummer that they haven't came out the 4K dongle yet, and it is purchased separately. But another favorite option of mine has been the VGN Dragonfly F1. I do prefer the MOBA edition. This is not the actual MOBA edition. This is the Pro. They're all really good, to be honest with you. The one thing is that you do have to purchase the 4K dongle separately. So if you're cool with that, then that is another one of my favorite options. But I'd put these three up there. Again, the Ajazz AJ199, it is pretty good out of the box, but once you do modify it, it does actually take it to that next level. So with the mods, I'd probably say right now, just with the shape, I absolutely love the shape on this AJ199, that this is probably my favorite out there. I feel like all three of these are really solid options. And like I said, the Ajazz AJ199 is by far one of my favorite shapes that's currently out there on the market right now. So let's go ahead and talk about the shape, jump into comparisons. First off, throwing it up against the Razer Viper Mini Signature Edition. Starting over here at the bottom, the Razer Viper Mini does flare more aggressively towards the front and the rear, and it does feel just a little bit wider here at the bottom, not by a whole lot. But then coming over here on the rear, as you can see, I do feel like even at the top of the Ajazz AJ199, it does feel just a little bit more narrow in the hands, and it's a little bit more rounded there at the top. And then finally, looking at both of these from the side, the hump is just a little bit more aggressive on the Ajazz AJ199. It doesn't feel too high for me, but there is a little bit of a difference there where the Viper Mini feels just a little bit flatter and wider in the hands. And comparing it to the Zaopin Z1 Pro, these are pretty different shapes. As you can clearly see, it is definitely much wider on the Z1 Pro down here at the bottom. Coming on the back, the top of the Z1 Pro is a bit flatter to where it's a lot more rounded. then finally, when comparing it to the VGN Dragonfly F1, the VGN Dragonfly definitely feels like a medium, more of a medium style mouse compared to the Ajazz AJ199, where I would definitely say that the AJ199 is more classified as a mini style mouse. Again, more aggressive curves over here on the Dragonfly. And as you can see, just all around a little bit wider. Coming over here to the rear, you can see the top here is more rounded and it feels narrow at the top of the mouse, where the VGN Dragonfly feels a little bit more flat. And then finally, looking at both these from the sides, it does have a little bit more of an aggressive hump with the height. Alright guys, so that about wraps things up on the Ajazz AJ199 4K. Like I said, I truly been absolutely loving this thing. When you compare it to something like the Attack Shark, I do feel like the side buttons on the Attack Shark, you know, they do just feel a little bit more snappy, just a little bit tighter. Same with mouse button 1 and 2. So if you don't really care too much about the 4K, I do still feel like the Attack Shark is still one of my favorite budget option mice. But for me personally, I really do prefer the 4K. I've been absolutely loving this thing. The shape of it, the performance of it, it's just really been knocking it out of the park for me. And I would say this is one of my favorite go-to budget option mice currently that's out there on the market. All right guys, so if you have any additional questions or feel like I left anything out, please let me know down in the comments below. If you are interested in picking this up and supporting the channel, I have left affiliate links down in the description below. If you've enjoyed watching this video and are interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, please drop this video a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.